You guys know what a hebephile is?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
I wished I didn't.
It's been
I feel
explained
like,
ad nauseum by Megyn Kelly now.
Well, she seems to be like a wide supporter in barely legal type hebephilia. Since this past week, she went on to an episode of her podcast, which is on Sirius XM, right? And if everyone remembers Megyn Kelly, like she's since kind of changed her face a lot. She's rearranged her
That's
face.
because she was bleeding from her eyes.
Oh, that's right. Don't know where she's bleeding from. But she actually went on and tried to question whether or not Jeffrey Epstein is a pedophile. Basically, quote, saying, "We are yet to hear evidence that children under 10 have come forward to claim they were assaulted by him." So technical term for a pedophile, a pedo, which is what we've been saying about the Epstein files, is that is this a sexual preference for children who are prepubescent?
First of all, let's pull the show over for 2 seconds. All right. I'm not splitting hairs on this.
No.
Right? Like
No.
this is not only people who dabble in this type of tomfoolery and disgustingness make the distinction between actual children. And like for somebody like Megyn Kelly to even come out and split hairs about that is also just gross and disgusting because I feel like particularly, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm the only dude on the show today, but I feel like particularly a woman should be even more sensitive to this kind of stuff.
She has a fucking teenage daughter.
And considering that most of the people victimized in this case were girls and young women.
Yes.
Like, I make it make sense to me. Make it make sense to me.
It doesn't. There were literally like 14-year-old girls.
So I think what I want to point out, I feel like I'm always coming here with like throwing shade, but what we do have to remember is in the United States, I believe that child marriage is still legal. So that is marrying someone under the age of 18 is still legal in like 34 states.
Yeah, quite a bit.
And in 4 states in the United States, there is actually no minimum age to marry. So we have to remember that that's kind of, and in many states, even in Michigan, it was only a few years ago, if you remember, that child marriage was basically outlawed. I think it was one of the things that the trifecta did during their 2 years when the Democrats had the House
there were
and the
Republicans who voted against
Correct.
that.
Oh, I mean,
Exactly.
listen, word to Josh Shriver. He was still cool with it. Like, he was still cool with the whole child marriage thing. So
this is
Matt Maddock as
this
well.
is how they see, and the reason I bring that up is because that's how they see kids. They think it's okay in many instances. They think it's okay to basically have sex with someone that is underage. Not just that, but to marry them.
Young girls. I think
Young girls.
we need to make the delineation there.
I don't think we do.
Yeah, well, because that, like, I don't know if she would have the same reaction if Jeffrey Epstein was molesting 14-year-old boys.
Maybe, actually, you know what? I think you're correct.
Because if we're talking about barely legal porn here, which is what she referenced, it's we're talking about teenage young girls and young women, right? They're not 18. They don't have any. They shouldn't be consenting to this at all because they're children still. And to me, it's because Megyn Kelly is going to excuse it for a pedophile like Jeffrey Epstein and for the traffickers that were involved in his ring.
But
of
I guess,
pedophilia,
but my thing
because
is
they're girls.
like to what end? How does that benefit her or people in her circle?
Well, she's an apologist, and
like, how does that benefit her?
It's an apologist, and it's the power adjacency. You could say it's the patriarchy. It's whatever. It doesn't.
It's the fucking money, people.
It's the money.
Stop
Follow
it.
the money.
It's the access to power and money. That's what she gets. That's where her bread is buttered at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And just a reminder that it's not just child marriage and it's not just this whole situation, but in many states they're reducing the age by which children can work in bars.
Right.
That's true, yes.
So it's like it's how we see children as adults.
Yeah.
It's a cultural thing.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the pageants, like putting these little
Correct.
I don't want to.
5-year-old.
I don't
but
want
that's the
to.
same thing. Like, it all kind of goes hand in hand.
Correct.
You're going to dress up 5- and 6-year-old girls in very provocative clothes, have them do provocative dances, and put their hair sky high, put them in heels. I mean, we could get into we could go down a rabbit hole about JonBenet Ramsey, but we're not going to do that today. We don't have that kind of time, and it's not a true crime podcast.
Can I just say, Gina and I went to an event, and it was a Republican event, and I can't remember exactly what event it was. Once again, my brain forgets things because that's how I survive, keep my mental health. And I remember quite obviously, this woman was walking around with her young daughter, very young daughter, in this what looked like a white bridal kind of dress. And she was walking around with a bunch of flowers like she was
a child bride.
It was a child bride. And I was just, I could still see it right now. It really stuck out to me. So I think there is definitely on the right, and I'm going to say on the right, there's definitely sort of like this sort of a nod to it's okay.
A wink and a nod.
Maybe QAnon was right. Maybe.
Oh shit!
Maybe QAnon.
No, this is where we also started agreeing. Marjorie Taylor Greene's going to come up today
maybe
too.
QAnon had a point. They just instead of aiming left, they should have aimed right.
They should have aimed right.
As the dude on the pod today, I am.
You're really leaning into that
because my skin is crawling, and I don't understand because obviously most of the perpetrators in this particular case, and really across all forms of sexual abuse and sexual assault, the perpetrators are usually men.
Yes.
And so I hear this stuff and I hear about people parading around their own children like child brides, and it just icks the hell out of me. And I want it to all stop. All right. No matter who it is. So
no, I feel you. I mean, the memes were pretty amazing that Megyn Kelly caused. There was this one person on Blue Sky that he said, they're calling Megyn Kelly Megyn R. Kelly now.
Oh. Hey, I've got to wonder with her though, like, does she really believe any of this shit? I mean, I think so much of this stuff is just performative, and it's just about doing, taking a nod.
Is she rage baiting?
Yeah, I don't know.
Wait, wasn't she part of the Fox lawsuit?
Yeah, that's when, I mean, her and Trump have been like this, like they've been like.
So again, the pegs are not matching up where they're supposed to go. I don't get it, because you can't, on one hand, be a part of a sexual harassment lawsuit, one of the largest that we've ever seen in American history, and then turn around and be like, yeah, but banging a 16-year-old girl's cool if you're like 50.
Right.
I don't get it.
I don't either. I don't either. I mean, I think that just, this is the moment that we're in, and it's all misogyny and internalized misogyny and treating girls and boys differently, and
take me home.
No, we're done today. And
I don't want to break it to you, but you are.
Yeah, you are home. I know you just came back from a nice vacation and you thought you would just stay. I got to get out of here, man. You guys all get to leave, and I'm here all the time. Anyway, welcome back to another episode of The Point of Disorder. I'm Adrienne.
Hey, I'm Norris.
And I'm Julie.
So as per usual, if you like us, if you happen to recognize us out on a train or at some kind of networking event, then please subscribe. Leave us some love in the comments on any of the platforms where you get your podcasts. You can also follow us on all the social platforms at The Point of Disorder, at Distill Social, and at The Guerrilla Politic. You can also watch this entire episode on YouTube,
yes,
if you are so inclined. And just a heads up to everyone that there will be no show next week because of the Thanksgiving holiday. So catch us the week after. We'll be back ready to wrap up the year. So anyway, speaking of the year, it's been another year over the last week. And I mean, I think we can kind of continue this Epstein thread. The Epstein Files Transparency Act vote happened this past week. So we know that it went through the House. Virtually every member voted in favor except for one.
Except for Clay Higgins of Louisiana.
He went on some tirade about how this is going to be bad for people who've been accused of things before. And it's like, dude, this is the process. Like, release the fucking files.
How do we think we actually, I mean, I know that he tried to kind of justify his position, but how do you think you turn around and speak to your family, your grandchildren, your children in the future about that and that particular, because that's going to haunt him forever. Like being a standout of one that's going to haunt him forever, surely.
Yeah. I mean, one guy.
I feel like I'm not sure, because the more I have to interface with people who support, whether it be the president or were supportive of any of the people involved in this stuff. You know, even like the people who are just like, Diddy didn't do it. They were just having parties and that's okay. Like any of that type of person, I don't think they'll look at him any kind of way. I think they'll say, yeah, we don't want innocent men to go to jail, not considering that almost never happens. Like when women accuse people of sexual assault, I'm not going to put out a number and be incorrect, but it's highly unlikely that it's a wrongful conviction. It's highly unlikely that people are put away for it. So usually if somebody wants to go through a very exposing, it shouldn't be shameful, but there's a lot of shame associated with sexual assault. That who would put themselves through that if it wasn't a thing that actually happened? I don't get it.
Especially against like the most powerful people in the world. You're talking about, corporate CEOs, politicians, princes of
actual royalty.
Actual royals.
Actual
royals who've just gotten their titles revoked. Like who's really going to show their face and put themselves through that if it didn't actually happen?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, the vote comes down, as we said, Higgins, the only standout vote. Later that evening, it was pushed through once again through the Senate, which
unanimous
pissed off Mike Johnson to no end. He was leaving that ridiculous state dinner for Mohammed bin Salman, which we will talk about a little bit later. But he was interviewed by a reporter in which he said there should have been amendments, there should have been redactions.
That's what they were hoping for.
Yeah.
They were hoping to do that. They were hoping that the Senate would put some guardrails on the release, and they did not. I mean, obviously Trump too at the beginning of the week knew that there was a lot of defection from the party that they wanted to have these released. So suddenly he's changed his tune and he's like, yeah, let them, let everyone see that it's the Democrats' hoax and all of that.
I think I want to just dead this whole narrative right quick because I've seen this all online over the course of this process, of which, why are Republicans using the talking point of all the Democrats are in those files and now your team is going to be the one that's mad because Bill Clinton's in there and all sorts of other people.
No one would be surprised by.
No one would be surprised.
Bubba.
And everyone's saying that. Exactly.
Bubba.
We do need to talk about that.
Bubba and blowjobs.
But I do want to just point out that Trump he's flipped like a fucking crack house mattress. It's kind of been hilarious to watch.
I'm sorry.
I just had to throw that in.
Crack house mattress? Did you really just say that? That's
no,
amazing.
But she's right.
But it's true. I mean, I think, and that means for us on our side of things, it's like how much of it's going to come out that's redacted. How much is the DOJ actually going to sit on? How much of it's going to be, for real? Someone doesn't fight tooth and nail for months and months to try to get something not to come to light, then suddenly everything's cool.
I mean, I think, there's always the option that because Trump has ordered the DOJ to investigate the Democrats that may be in the files, that many of them will not come out because they'll be part of an active investigation. The thing about it is that the lawyers and the legal teams for the victims have the unredacted files. Like, they have the information.
Right.
And so if things are missing or if things are redacted, there is the possibility that they could still leak from other sources.
It's so hard for me to imagine that if you're an attorney or lawyer for someone that's been through this, and that obviously there's a lot of the victims that have come out now that hadn't previously come out and had not sort of publicly come out. But if you're a lawyer or an attorney for someone like that, there is no way I would think that you'd want to be hiding that kind of stuff, surely. Having said that, it makes me very, very nervous when I hear, well, first of all, seeing him flip the way that he did and seeing it pass so quickly is kind of like gives me pause and makes me think, they've got some shit going on in the background. But I did see that Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, apparently has come out and basically said in a statement that they're sanitizing the files, that they're basically going through them all at the moment. And so that, I mean, obviously he hasn't given any evidence of that. He's basically suggested that it's in a facility in Winchester, Virginia, and they're scrubbing the files to take the Republican names out right now, according to him. So that's what he's come out with. But it's like, and it's hard to imagine how they would flip and change so quickly without having that sort of insurance.
Yeah. But I think my thing is that does that eventually do more damage, right? Because the Epstein files is one thing that actually has bipartisan support. The vast majority of the country on both sides of the aisle want the files to be released. And if they're released in a redacted form or missing information or clearly having gaps in the information, does that then make particularly the right wing go deep state?
Yeah.
Deep state, it was them. It's a cover up.
But
it's
they
a
are the deep
conspiracy.
state now.
I know that, but I'm saying,
like, I mean, you're starting to get into like the Marjorie Taylor Greene of this,
well,
right?
not even just the Marjorie Taylor Greenes. I mean, I think this is stuff that is mainstream. Like, remove Washington out of it, but like this is mainstream Republican thought that there are. So
you're
people
talking
hiding
MAGA.
this.
You're talking the MAGA base.
Yeah,
the MAGA base needs to kind of wake up and start saying like this. You're all talking about the deep state during the election, and Trump would harp on that. This is the true actual deep state. So I think I agree with you. I think, again, I hate that I'm on my podcast giving props to Marjorie Taylor Greene in any way. But
please
like,
don't.
No, a broken clock can be right twice a day.
Right, okay. But like, props to her for actually, fighting back and saying this shouldn't have been this way. Trump had the power to release these himself unilaterally at any time. He never had to wait on the House. He never had to wait on the Senate.
I agree with you about, yes, a broken clock can be right twice a day. However, it can also be racist and bigoted for the rest of the fucking day.
Yes,
absolutely.
So I think we need to be,
yes.
I'm going to bring back my old, in a two-horse race, always back self-interest. I get it. I get that she's obviously doing the right thing, but you have to look more deeply at the fact that I'm sure there's something in it for her. There's absolutely, she's seeing that this movement, she's talking to MAGAs.
Yeah.
Because remember, a lot of these people came on
as MAGA.
MAGA, QAnon, right? And a lot of that is about, like, they were basically saying that Hillary was some sort of a fucking child pedophile that was
Pizzagate.
But like
somebody died over it.
She was like the Jewish space laser lady.
Yes.
Like this lady was the crazy house of the crazy house.
No, she still is.
Right. And she still is. But, and that goes back to my original point, is that the base is pissed about this.
Yeah.
They are furious about the files because their thing was release them so we can see all the Democrats in the files.
Correct.
That was their whole thing, is that Trump's not going to be in it. It's going to be a bunch of Democrats because Epstein was from New York, and there's going to be a bunch of New York money people and so on and so forth. But now, because there was this huge concerted effort to not release the files, they are now looking at the Republican establishment in Washington sideways and saying, why aren't you releasing the files?
Right.
And that can have ramifications for the midterms. In addition to the shutdown, in addition to SNAP benefits, in addition to inflation, in addition to all that stuff.
Oh, they literally, so here it is. They literally have done nothing. And this would have been the only, like you said, prices are up. We'll talk about that again later, because it is really important to continue to discuss that. But, basically there is nothing that they're giving to the average MAGA or even just the average American is getting shit all from
They're literally
all of
getting
this.
shit on in AI videos.
Exactly. Yeah. That's right. But what we need to think about also is the fact that this is all about protecting their rich mates, no matter which side of politics. It does not matter. They're wealthy mates. They've just got their fucking tax cut. Now they're basically giving them cover to do whatever they like. Yeah. And part of me, which brings me to the money part of it, because I'm sort of, in my mind, I'm like, you don't need all the emails. You don't need all that shit. Fucking get all the financial files. That's what you need to do.
Oh, yeah.
You need follow the money.
Follow
the money, because all of this is about money at the end of the day. Like, we all know that Epstein was paying these people. He was being paid by these people left, right and center. He was using it as basic, well, I should allegedly. But
He's a human trafficker.
correct. Exactly.
And you don't do that for free.
No,
Yeah, exactly.
that's not out of the kindness of your heart that you're grooming 14-year-olds,
Yeah, you
like,
don't
and
do
you're
it for
picking them
free.
up. That's a lot of work.
You do it because it's lucrative.
It's
like
lucrative.
it sounds vile because it is, but that's why you do that stuff. And I'm glad you brought up the financial aspect, because I believe it was Massey during one of the hearings on the files who said, "Look, I've seen them." He says there's record executives, there's financiers, there's musicians, there's politicians, there's lobbyists, there's all sorts of folks in these files, and everybody needs to see all of them.
And that's why they didn't want to release them, because the pressure that's coming from these multimillionaire, billionaire people is, don't release the files. It's, of course, Trump doesn't want them released for his own personal reasons, but everyone else that's in there as well doesn't want them released. And I think that's part of the conversation that's not happening, is that these young girls were trafficked for money to powerful men who were in, whatever age they were, in a very illegal way.
And whatever the context is that we're now in a situation where, look, eventually the files will be released. And there is a provision in the files that says if they are redacted within 15 days, there has to be some form of uncensored file that's released to people. We will see if that happens, because this is an administration that has consistently violated the law. Yeah. So don't hold your breath on that. But at the end of the day, will we have a better, view of what was going on? I think so. And I think the average American does not care if these people were Democrats, Republicans.
No.
The party affiliation
They're
plays no part
They're
here.
fucking pedophiles.
Yeah.
Or whatever the head
They're
of files.
pedos.
They're pedos. They're
yeah.
pedos.
PDF files.
Yes, they're PDF files.
And I think the big thing is that these people are criminals.
Yes.
So what surprises me and what pisses me off the most, because I'm cynical, I'm not as positive as you are, Norris, about what's going to happen, because I've learned to temper any sort of expectation that I have.
I have zero. I have zero expectations.
But what I will say to you is, like, what the fuck? There have been multiple administrations that have had this information and it's not been investigated. So it pisses me off to basically know that the departments of justice for the Biden administration had this. Surely all of this information was available. So I'm so confused as to why would we leave it to the Trump administration to be responsible for this? It just seems illogical. And I know that that everyone's covering their ass. There's a lot of ass covering that's been going on, but it really does piss me off. But
no, we'll find out. I completely agree. I think if there is a way to go through files, AI might be getting a lot of work out on some of these files.
I don't even want to open the AI conversation, man.
The AI conversation with the Epstein files?
Well, it's just because now we're going to see another bump in the stock market, because everybody's going to be using ChatGPT to sift through the thousands of
Open
files.
AI and NVIDIA. Here we go. Well, I mean, not to continue on this whole thread about pedos, but I guess we're going to. Apparently, there was an ICE worker who was arrested in Minnesota for allegedly being part of a child sex trafficking ring.
Yeah, absolutely. So this story has just recently come out, which is he was not like one of the agents. He was like a pencil pusher. He was worked a civilian contractor that worked
ICE
in
admin.
the ICE
he handed them their masks and their
Yeah. He was like the
admin.
guy that like tracked how many masks and balaclavas they were buying.
He's not taking the names of the people who've been taken off the street.
He's not. But
he's not doing that because they don't do that.
In Twin Cities, Minnesota, there was a massive, child sex trafficking sting operation that they were working in the area. And one of the guys arrested was working for ICE. And as he was being arrested, he literally tells the police officers, "Hey, I'm ICE, boys." As if that was supposed to help him out somehow.
Is that the equivalent of flashing your badge at McDonald's?
Yeah, like as if that was supposed to help him out.
Burger?
And the chief of police there was just like, "You're still going to jail."
Right.
Like,
I mean, there's literally nothing worse for police and for inmates than pedophiles, than people who molest children.
Absolutely.
They are the worst of the fucking worst. as they should be. But the fact is an ice worker again. So who's doing the background checks on the ice guys?
Man, listen, I just got to say this. Is that, y'all, Cat Williams is on January 2024 had a very important interview, and he said over the next year or so, all of these deviants are about to be exposed. He said everyone, and he named all kinds. Diddy, he named all sorts of people.
He like the Nostradamus.
He clearly was. He clearly was the Negrodamus of sexual predators.
Oh my God.
Because since he had that interview with Shannon Sharp, I mean, hundreds of files of cases have come out involving, Diddy and Epstein and all sorts of stuff. So actually, we owe all this to Cat Williams.
Yeah, we do owe it to
Shout
him.
out.
I do think the ice worker thing is especially funny because we were talking about it earlier about how just the level is so low. The bar is so low for folks to go work for ICE. So they're kind of out of shape and they're not able to chase people down.
Ain't no kind of.
They're really out of shape, which I think is in stark contrast to Pete Hegseth getting up on stage and yelling at a bunch of, generals about being just like in shape and the fittest they've ever been.
Yeah, he railed against specifically. He says everybody's too fat in the armed forces.
Yeah, but not in ICE though. ICE, you just pick anyone off the street.
They have to be able to do 25 push-ups in 3 minutes. Like I could probably do 25 push-ups right now.
I can't.
Like,
no.
I could.
I don't have the upper body strength. I can't.
We
I don't
could
want to
have you
join
in
ICE
that for
though.
a week. Yeah.
But the point is that if you're sitting here trying to join a militarized police force, you would think that one would try to at least be a little bit in shape. But if you can't run a half a mile in 10 minutes,
very
Brody,
low standards.
Come on.
Very low standards. They're letting in like child sex trafficking folks. Like, it's terrible.
So anytime you have imposter syndrome, just remember that there's
Oh
all
my
these
God,
guys
you're right. This would make me feel. That does make me feel.
Let me
a
go
lot better
outrun a 28-year-old
about
ICE
myself.
officer.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, so Trump was asked to earlier this week before he did this about face on the Epstein files. He was asked on Air Force One by Bloomberg reporter Catherine Lucy about the Epstein files, and she asked him a direct question, and his response to her was "Quiet, piggy."
Jesus.
Like, that's exactly how he responded to this woman reporter. An ABC News reporter, Mary Bruce, who I'm familiar with because I watched my boyfriend, David Muir. And like, she comes on, she's like the White House correspondent. So the Saudi Arabian crown prince was visiting the White House this week, and she asked some very direct questions about Khashoggi and his murder that happened, I believe, in 2018. And Trump got real shitty really fast. He was like, that's inappropriate. You're embarrassing our guest. And we should talk about revoking ABC News's license, which is kind of scary because you're thinking about how what's-his-face is the head of the FCC, right? And he's the one who oversees all that stuff. I mean, frankly, I'm always disgusted by Trump. I am disgusted by how he treats women journalists because he doesn't come at men journalists this way. You never hear about that.
No, because it's a cowardly approach, right? And he knows that a lot of his people will back him up on that because there's just a through line of misogyny through his entire administration.
And this ties back to everything we were talking about before, right? It's like the lack of respect for women in general is really deep. And I think what's really disturbed me most about that particular thing, apart from the fact that it's a fucking who says that, like what human being says that, is that it really hasn't got as much coverage as I thought it would have got. Like in a normal course, now I know there's a lot going on with the Epstein, there's a shit ton, it's like drinking from a fire hose every day. I get it. But it feels like that's something that we've just normalized. And even I try and judge it by my own reaction. Like I literally heard it and went, oh, that seems on point.
Yeah, it's
like that's
on brand.
That seems like something I'd expect, the President of the United States to say. So that's what disturbed me. Is my own reaction to it is like, oh, that's disgusting, but let's move on.
It is, and I think again, it's the continued erosion, not just of women in the professional sense, but a continued devaluation of journalists, erosion of the Fourth Estate, because how are you supposed to work and ask the questions you're supposed to ask? And by the way, much love to the press pool during the MBS visit because they were peppered with important questions. But when you do this consistently, what the American people see is that the president doesn't respect the press, and therefore neither should I.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you do it specifically in front of a foreign head of state, that means that they shouldn't respect the press either, which is a thing that I think for the most part globally people have had somewhat of an understanding for. Like up until, a lot of journalists risked their lives and many died in the conflict in Gaza, the global standard was that like you see press, you try your best not to like kill or capture them.
Right.
But when the president of the most powerful nation in the world continually devalues the press next to a crown prince who also was responsible
For the death of a
journalist.
Right.
Like, I want y'all to connect the dots here.
Right.
Y'all.
Literally went into a room and came out in pieces in different bags.
Yeah.
Like if anybody doesn't remember what happened to Khashoggi, it's journalists' job to hold power to account. So the fact that he continues to berate journalists, especially women journalists, to Norris's point, devalues the work that is done. And there's a Marist poll, Marist PBS NPR poll just came out this week as well, that the good news in it was that if Democrats were running tomorrow, like for the midterms, they're up 14 points, which blows out of the water where Trump was even 8 years ago with that. But it also took into account a few other things. First of all, nobody likes Democrats either, but this is just the other less bad option.
It's the lesser of two evils.
But they talked about journalists and they talked about the media, and folks don't trust the media either. So there's been this erosion of trust, and he knows it, and he continues to play on that. Even though these are women who are there doing their job.
And this is how you basically, there are pillars of democracy, and I hate talking about democracy because it's such a fucking, whatever. But there are pillars of what keeps a civilized society together.
Yeah, free press.
Free press is such an important one of those that it's hard to. But this erosion's been going on since he came in the first time. That was a big thing that he was doing.
Right.
Basically trying to pull it down.
Crooked media.
Fake
Correct.
news.
Fake news, all that kind of stuff. So I don't think any of this is surprising. I think that the Crown Prince, if we're going to talk about that a bit more, of Saudi Arabia, I think there's also a connection there that he has to Epstein, which I think is worth kind of
really?
like, yeah. So as I understand
not
it,
connected to Epstein,
money, power,
Right.
Epstein, right?
Yeah,
There's
it's
the
all
three
there.
things. It's
Right.
like, yeah.
And I'm sure he really did kill himself in that jail cell.
Allegedly.
We're really QAnon now.
We are
That's
so
right.
tinfoil hatting today.
Yeah, Gina's, she should have brought in our tinfoil hat for us. But yeah, I believe that he was, Epstein was actually one that provided financial advice, which is so weird because, I mean, Epstein
How does
was
a
not a
crown
financial
prince
advisor.
need financial advice?
Wait a minute. He has access to the entire PIF. That's
Right.
like more money than anybody could dream
No.
of.
I suspect that there was just money that changed hands here in Norris,
It
and that's
has
what it
to
was
be.
like put down as for financial
Yeah, it
advice.
has to be, 'cause there's
anyway,
the-
allegedly.
This line item
Allegedly.
here in QuickBooks is for
Yeah,
financial
exactly.
advice.
I'm like, come on, dude. He's in charge of the entire Saudi public investment fund, which is basically unlimited money.
Well, it is unlimited, but at the same time, they are not to get too sort of like wonky. I've got Gina in my ear saying, "Don't say this, Julie," but
She's not here right now.
Saudi does have limitations in terms of what it can use its
Yes.
money on, and they have a diversification. Anyway, there is stuff going on in Saudi Arabia, which means that they're not as flush with cash as they are, of course,
Right.
comparatively. But I mean, a lot of the money that Trump's talking about in terms of what we're going to get. What is it? It was $600 billion, and can we make it $1 trillion by the end of the
they're going to be
conversation?
doing a $1 trillion investment in the United States.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I know some of that is in AI, but like,
Correct.
what exactly
Chips.
does that fucking mean? Like,
Chips.
you're
It's
just
chips.
investing in chips.
It's chips.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, and look, the thing about the investment fund and the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia is that this has kind of been their MO for the better part of almost a decade. Because what Saudi has tried to do is diversify what they're investing in. One of the big things they've been doing is sports washing. If you're unfamiliar with the concept of sports washing, I'm bringing this up because Cristiano Ronaldo was at the state dinner as well for some reason. But
we had last night, we had this like text chain going on about, and it was just going, it was Cristiano, like, oh my God, what is going on right now? I'm not sure what timeline we're in at the moment, but you've got the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, who basically was involved in behind the murder of an American journalist. Then you've got Cristiano Ronaldo going to dinner. It's like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, it was very, very strange. But Ronaldo plays in Saudi Arabia for a ungodly amount of money. But this is what they've been doing. They've been trying to sort of revamp their image on the global scale by giving gobs of money to, soccer and esports and golf. Like the Live Golf Tournament is owned by the Saudi PIF. And so this is kind of what they've been doing.
And they're doing this around the world, by the way. Yes. They're doing it with rugby in Australia. They're trying to do it with rugby and rugby league in Australia. So there is stuff happening around the world. This is like basically them trying to, as you said, it's them cleaning up aisle 3 to basically have connection with, the Western world, what is seen as the Western world, and have power. So they want to take over. There's a power vacuum, and they're wanting to get inside of that.
And they've been, like you said, they've done it in Australia. They have a special, basically a sweetheart deal with England through soccer in England, and now clearly because we know Trump loves golf.
Oh God.
To say that didn't factor into this.
There's literally nothing that we can enjoy that isn't got its like someone's fingers in it from somewhere that's trying to use it for some nefarious reasons.
Just to sort of tug on the sports thing for a minute, I'm actually surprised because there is a lot of pushback in a lot of places in terms of this. Like sports people are recognising and sporting organisations are recognising around the world that basically if we allow them to come in and take over, we lose.
Yes.
And so I think that's a really important thing to note is that, yes, they are trying to, like money talks. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But at the same time, professional sports people and professional sports organisations, so to speak, there is some pushback.
Yeah, I mean, Liv tried to basically replace the PGA and like buy them out essentially.
Wow.
So it's wild stuff. But I mean, I have little sympathy on that sense because it's just, oh no, Saudi billionaires instead of white billionaires, whatever. But the point is, and where I make the connection from that is to say that this has all been part of this sort of charm offensive from the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia to get access to these rooms. Correct. And it is working.
Right.
It's working because he's just had the state dinner with the President of the United States. He's going to be here all week, basically. And, now there's a deal in the background that's going to see them investing heavily in the U.S.
Can I put my tinfoil hat back on?
Yes.
Because it seems interesting to me. The same day that he was here was the same day that all of the bill passed in terms of the Epstein bill. So it's like, once again, we're getting fucking...
Yeah, you're just getting hosed. We're getting literally hosed constantly. I mean, every time I open my news app on my phone, it's Trump, 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 Trump. Like there's literally nothing else in the world going on in news. It's all just been covered by Trump. And I don't know what else is going on anywhere else because of him.
And I think also, like, I just will put this out to everybody to say, keep track of your local news.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times what happens is, and sometimes we're even guilty of this, is that we get very caught up in the national stuff.
Correct.
And we want to remember that, I mean, a lot of stuff is happening locally. This wasn't on our rundown, but I mean, Texas just got their redistricting plan blocked by federal court. Yeah. So that won't go through. And now it seems like it'll go through in California. So
because they voted for it.
Because they voted for it.
As opposed to, right. So there's
in the way a democracy is supposed to work, I guess.
Right. I mean, absolutely. Like keep an eye on the local stuff because we are just constantly drinking from this fire hose of Trump bullshit. And it's awful and terrible. Speaking of just other fucking shit, like Michelle Obama she was doing an interview recently with what's her name?
Tracy Ellis
Ross. Yes, Diana Ross's daughter, who Used to be on a really good show on ABC.
Girlfriends.
Yeah. Well, she was on Girlfriends, but she was also on this other show.
Blackish.
Yes. Thank you. I really liked that
Girlfriends
show.
is a way better show.
Okay. Well, I really liked that show. So Tracy Ellis Ross was doing an interview with former First Lady Michelle Obama. And Michelle Obama's always asked, are you going to run? Are you going to run for something? And Michelle,
stop asking this lady.
I know.
Right?
She's like, fuck you. I'm not fucking running. Someone's taken that ask 8 times thing to heart too much with her, right? I think she's been asked more than 8 times though. She said, and I quote, Michelle Obama said, the U.S. is not ready for a woman president. They're just not ready. So she's not going to waste her time. And she's not wrong. She's not wrong. I do not think Michelle Obama is wrong.
Well, I go back to the quiet piggy.
Yeah.
Like just stuff like that. And it's so interesting because I have been following this story quite closely because I think it is an interesting – because there's debate about it, right? Like there are people on Fox News as well as some woman on The View whom I don't know because I don't watch The View.
Joy Behar?
No, it was another woman on The View, the less progressive one. Anyway.
Fair aggressive.
Yeah. And basically saying, hey, but have a look. Hillary won the popular vote. It's like, oh, thank God someone fucking recognised that. That's exciting. Yes, she did win the popular vote. But basically what they've all been saying is that we would have had a female president in the United States had it not been that they were both Hillary and Kamala were both very flawed candidates.
So they're trying to say it's because the women themselves were flawed.
Correct.
Like literally you could put up the best woman candidate with all of the credentials who would bring together she still wouldn't win. I don't think she would win.
Well, I mean, I think the question to ask these people is quite honestly, what is it about them that was flawed, that wasn't flawed in their opposition? So Trump was the opposition for both of these.
Right.
We're talking about a guy that literally stood there and it was 2 weeks before the election in 2016?
Grab him by the pussies.
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, do you remember the debate with Hillary Clinton and he was just like behind her on the stage like a shark? Like circling the whole time.
And this all comes back to the treatment of women, right?
Right.
It all comes back to the fucking treatment of women. So we're taking a full circle in this episode, I feel like. We've gone from like the pedophilia, but it's true. It's a disrespect of women. So I can't see, and the same with Kamala. I don't think she was any more flawed than Trump. In fact, far less flawed.
Far less flawed.
And certainly less flawed than probably Biden at the end of the day. Apart from what she did, what she wasn't and what both of them weren't were white men.
Right.
That was the common denominator, that neither of them were white men.
Yes. I mean, anyone can make the argument that Kamala was not in a primary. And I think a lot of people make the argument, too, that Hillary wasn't really chosen and Bernie. But it's like, but Hillary still won in the primary. She still won the votes. Right. So it's so frustrating, like as a woman, as a person who owns businesses, as a person who has been sexually assaulted, as a person who has been talked down to by men or kind of patted on the head and said, oh, that's so nice. I don't know when we're going to get to a point where we're ready for a woman president. I think we all know in this room, Gretchen Whitmer is going to run in 2028. Like, she won the governor's race here twice.
But what I guess as a dude, right?
Okay, we're gonna pull that out again. Whip it out.
I got
Norris.
I got to. But I'm prefacing it. I'm prefacing it with this because obviously I'm in a room with 2 brilliant women who are very tied into what's going on with this.
Thank you.
What is what is the thing that needs to change?
I can tell you exactly what needs to change.
Oh, please.
So this has been my view for a while, actually. This is not a new view. I don't think you could say that either of those women were underqualified. They're absolutely qualified in terms of their intelligence, their experience, their policies, basically everything. I mean, I go back to Hillary Clinton. She was the first person to basically introduce Medicare for all, universal health care for children. Like, this shit is so popular now. So, but people still were like, oh, but her emails, oh, but her, oh, but her.
Oh, but she said this in 1992.
Correct, exactly. So I think until such time as we care more about policies and we care more about someone's ability to do the actual fucking job and less about personality, less about likability, because women will never be as likable. I am not as likable as my husband. I'm just not.
I don't know about that. I've met your husband. He's lovely, but like he doesn't talk. Like you,
that's because I talk too much.
No, No, I agree with you. I think until the culture catches up, until the culture can embrace women as leaders, women as executives, CEOs, the ones kind of leading the way, and we're past this kind of trad wife, child bride bullshit. I don't know when we're going to get there. I mean, I do, we can look to New Jersey and Virginia and the two women that just won the governor's races there. The media treated them completely differently than they treated their Republican counterparts, who were both, no. One of them was a white man. The other one was a black woman.
Yeah.
Right? So
and they did use that, just by the way.
Yeah.
Fox News also used that as like a counter to Michelle Obama's point with regards to a woman. Like, well, you just elected 2 female governors.
But that's not the president.
It's not the president. Exactly. So
right.
everyone, I think, feels like when we've got Gretchen Whitmer.
Right.
We've had her. This is our second term of Gretchen Whitmer. We've got a trifecta. We've got a female attorney general, governor, and secretary of state.
But I mean, remember back 8 years ago, that was such a big fucking deal for everyone. They're like, oh no, we need to elect this guy for AG from Grand Rapids. We can't have 3 women on the ticket.
Yeah, but then they also tried to kidnap
They tried to kidnap the governor, right? So yeah, we're talking about the president of the United States. That's what we're talking about. So until there's a cultural moment shift, I don't think we're going to get a woman president.
No, and I mean, I think then the conversation we had it earlier here was like, we think Michelle Obama potentially could maybe be the only woman that would do that, that could successfully win the presidency here. And that's obviously, a lot of that's to do with her name and the fact that her husband is so beloved in terms of,
I think they both are.
I think they both are as well, but she's beloved in a different way. You've got to admit that. She's beloved. I also want to say to you, and to both of you, is that if I was going to take any advice from anyone in terms of as a woman running for president of the United States, I would take it from Michelle Obama, because I believe she's obviously had insight, background in terms of not just the being the first lady and seeing, like, having a first-hand sort of view of the presidency. She's also been involved in multiple females running for actual president in their campaigns. So she's seen the shit that goes on behind the scenes. So I kind of think it's easy for us to sit back here and go, oh, our experience in this, that, and the other. But this woman has actually seen behind the curtain. She knows exactly how they're treated and some of the major issues.
And I think that's a solid point, because I know that Hillary ran 2016 and, she was Secretary of State. And, I think we kind of don't put enough respect on her name in terms of her achievements as a woman in politics. But Michelle Obama was almost getting asked to run for president in 2020, almost the moment, Barack was done with both his terms. It was like, okay, well, when's Michelle running?
Right.
And people were like, and she's like, dude, I just want to go home.
She said, I don't want to do any
I don't
want to
do anything.
And
so I actually agree with you, is that I do think that she has the name, the experience, the, gravitas to be able to win. But yeah,
we're just not in that cultural
we want to do that
yet.
shit. Honestly,
and also like, I'm not aware if like anybody passes the vibe check. Like, I know that's what you said. Like, it's got to be less about personality and stuff, but like that'll never not be part of the calculus.
Look, it's absolutely, and it's a popularity contest here, absolutely. And I think that I don't know that we'll probably never see it in our lifetimes.
Oh God, I hope that's not the case.
But I really hope so. But I think it's something that we need to continue to talk about in terms of like, look at policies. But can I just be holly-go-lightly just for 1 minute? Because I love being holly-go-lightly. It's very rare that I'm holly-go-lightly. But I'm going to say what I'm seeing in terms of people talking about universal health care, people talking about the cost of living, people talking about these populist issues that be them economic or be it, how we just treating people without fucking cruelty, right? If we continue to push in this way, I think that's when we start looking at candidates that actually are less about the vibe, less about the personality, and more about the issues, more about the policies, and more about their ability to actually implement and their, and their experience.
Sure.
So maybe, I don't know. There's my
I
Hollywood
hope
lightly
so.
moment.
I mean,
I've voted for women multiple times, so I'm down. I'm ready for it.
You are enlightened. You are an enlightened
No,
man.
I'm not. I'm just a dude. Like,
You're
I
a
don't
dude.
think you
He's too shit scared because he's sitting between two
Yeah,
women
No,
right now.
it's not even that. It's just that shit to not be an enlightened thing. They were the best candidates available.
Right.
That's not enlightenment.
But
That's
again, I'm thinking
just regular.
It's just culture, misogyny, and the patriarchal shit that we're in. As long as we have the New York Times running ads or running editorials saying, are women ruining the workplace? As long as we have the head of the fucking free world standing on his plane calling women journalists piggies, like as long as we have that shit in the background, it's gonna be an uphill battle.
Yeah.
Shit flows and slides downhill.
It absolutely does.
Sure does,
It absolutely
man.
does. So I mean, I don't know how to segue from this, but one of the things I do want to kind of go back to with the Crown Prince is he did say that he is advocating for a 2-state solution with Palestine and Israel. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I think, given we haven't heard much about Gaza. You're making a face. Why are you making a face?
You said the MBS supported this, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing about it is that, dude.
The face you were just making was amazing.
No, because it's like, bro, where were you? This could have been way before many people had
he
to
didn't want to
die.
fight. He didn't want to fight, the U.S. on this, right?
Yeah.
Right. So
That's exactly right.
he doesn't
Adrienne.
want to fight out the
it,
U.S.
man. I
on
wanna
it. But
hear
now
it.
he's
Have
saying he's
backbone,
advocating
dude.
for his 2-state solution, which kind of brings us back to AIPAC. And we were talking about like this whole Saudi Arabia tour of goodwill and look at all the squishy nice things we're doing. AIPAC has a branding problem right now, and thus the candidates that they support are getting shit for taking money from AIPAC. So they're doing some interesting things by going kind of cloak of darkness, under the cover of dark at night, hosting fundraisers around town, especially here.
Yeah,
they were here.
Yeah, they came here just
Here's
last
in
week.
Michigan?
Here as in Michigan. Here as in Southeast Michigan.
Birmingham, to be precise.
Oh, wow.
They're at the Townsend Hotel.
Not to be confused with Townhouse, because that is on the same street in downtown Birmingham.
This is a hotel.
Yes.
Fancy, smancy hotel that does host a lot of these things. Anyway.
Didn't John James get caught by y'all?
He did at the Townsend.
They
Yeah.
also host like when opposing teams come in. I'm pretty sure they like house the opposing teams for the like
a
Lions.
lot of teams
Oh,
stay out
really?
there,
team. If
Good
you
to
need to
know.
go track down an athlete, go hang out in Birmingham during a home game.
I think I'm good, but anyway, either that or you'll see the folks from AIPAC, and I believe that Gary Peters
Gare
attended
Bear.
as well.
Gary, man.
Gare Bear.
Our very own Senator Gary Peters. Anyway, I think there's not a lot to say here apart from the fact that it is interesting. There is a lot of cleanup on aisle 3 going on in terms of AIPAC at the moment. Part of that is obviously having to go in under the cloak of darkness for this event, because there was very little that was put out there about this event.
Yeah.
It sort of went under the radar big time as far as we can see. But what they are also doing is they're actually, because they know that people are getting a lot of shit, candidates are copping a shit ton of blowback with regards to taking money from AIPAC when it's appearing on their financials. So what they're actually recommending is they're recommending that people actually, their donors donate directly to the candidates instead.
Yeah.
So this is, things aren't going real well when you're having
When
to
your
do
pack
that.
is like, hey, don't launder through us,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
do it directly.
This is one of those things where you say we should just not have this kind of money in politics.
Shocking.
No, I mean, because look, here's the thing. AIPAC is a lobby. It's a lobby that a lot of people are putting under fire, particularly because of everything that happened to Gaza, so on and so forth, right? They're just one of many.
Correct.
Right? There are plenty of lobbies that are doing the exact same
Yep.
thing, that are having clandestine meetings, invite only, no press, no cameras, no nothing, in copious amounts of money
Yeah.
are being flowed into the political system that quite frankly, no one knows anything about until you want to bore yourself to death by going through FEC documentations, which I have to do.
Or the Secretary of State.
Right.
Don't forget,
or the Secretary of State.
You can find all of that shit on the Secretary of State's website.
So the thing about it is that when you want to know why some of these politicians are taking stances that seem to be in direct opposition from things they've said previous or things that they seem like they might stand for, it's because they have financial masters, and this is how this works.
And so what we need to do is get money out of politics here in Michigan. We can't do it at a national level right now, but we can do it in Michigan, and we've got the ballot petition. I feel like the ballot petition, like Pied Piper. I'm always talking about it, but getting money out of politics is absolutely critical. And it's not just critical. It's critical for many reasons, but some of the feedback that we've got from candidates is, well, if we don't take it, we can't win. Right? So, because our opposition, the Republicans are going to take it. And it's like, well, what we need to do is get it out of politics to level the playing field.
Yes, and let the people donate whenever they want. Word to Zoran.
Yeah,
that's exactly.
Right.
There you go. That's how you run a grassroots campaign and win the mayor's race of the biggest city in the country. Yeah. There you go.
That's right. Absolutely. Okay, so we're going to close out today on some male fragility and
since you're the only male here,
Norris,
which you've pointed out several times.
Right? I mean, again, like the cultural thing around if we're going to have a woman president, then we need the culture to shift and change. So there's this headline from Time magazine: male drivers sue Uber and Lyft for sex discrimination over women-only ride-hailing feature. So this is fucked up for a number of reasons. Happening in California. So they're making the lawsuit in California because California has a lot of different like sexual harassment and gender disparity claims there, right? So they're trying to kind of flip the script on that. Uber and Lyft, their women drivers and their women passengers have huge reported sexual assault claims in the company. Basically women anywhere from being groped to being full on raped. And it's fucked up and it's a problem. It's a problem with these ride shares because women are trying to use these ride shares. So if you left the bar, you've had too much to drink, you can't drive home, you're getting your Uber or your Lyft, right? So these men are they are seeking $4,000 in damages per male driver in California for violating state law. Because Uber and Lyft have created these programs where if you're a woman and you want a woman driver, you can make that specific request. So these fragile men are they're crying about this, saying it's discrimination against them because they're men.
Let me say this. All right. Y'all acting like some little bitches right now.
Right. It's only two drivers representing the plaintiffs, right?
No, for real. Like, because what that tells me is that you're a shitty driver and you not getting no money. Right. The vast majority of Uber and Lyft drivers are male. All right. Yeah. They're out, they're working, they're making their money. This is the first time I've ever heard anything about any male driver about the complaining about the women only option. Why? Because I've taken many Ubers and I've asked specifically about this. I'm like, oh, hey, man, the Uber thing has the women only option. Have you noticed anything about that? Either they said, one, it hasn't affected me.
Nope.
Or two, hey, good on them. I want everybody to feel safe. Or three, women should be able to get women drivers if they want.
I mean, it's not restricting these guys in a certain way. You're not saying, okay, because you're men, you can't be the ones driving between this time and this time because we only want women to be able to hail rides at that point. Like, it doesn't matter. Just giving women an option to choose women drivers.
And many women still don't choose. It's an option. It's not a mandatory thing.
So I will tell you, I am a prolific Lyft and Uber catcher.
You are.
Because of things I like to do.
You're responsible.
Myself.
You're a responsible adult.
I'm responsible. Thank you very much, team. I love that. And I had an incident maybe about 6 months ago, which is goes directly. It actually drove me to actually finding the female only option on Lyft. So I was out with girlfriends having a few drinks. It was late. It was probably midnight, 1 a.m. or something, and I ordered my lift. It arrived. It was a pickup truck, a really, really big pickup truck with 2 men in the front seat.
Oh, that feels problematic. What?
Totally problematic. Totally
You
problematic.
didn't get in, did you?
Well, I'd had a few drinks and I was like, I need to get home, and I'd already been waiting. Sometimes it's hard to get lifts and Ubers here as well.
It is
Like
hard in Detroit.
yeah.
To get
because so many
Ubers,
people drive. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was kind of like, so I got in and I made the decision to actually call my mother at that time and just talk to her, because I thought the safest thing for me to do right now is just to be having a conversation with somebody so that, you know. Anyway, so the next morning, fast forward, the next morning I decided that, that's what I'm going to do. I reported it. I absolutely reported it to Lyft, and I decided to take, to change my settings on my Lyft. But the other thing I want to say about this, from a purely, and I'm going to go back to economics, from a purely an economic perspective, I could have at that point gone, oh shit, I'm never going to catch an Uber or a Lyft again at nighttime, which impacts Uber and Lyft. It impacts the drivers.
Yes.
It impacts like the economics.
Right.
You will drive women away if they do not feel safe and secure, because that's part of like catching a Lyft or catching an Uber. You've got to feel safe. Well, you're doing the responsible thing, and you also want to feel safe and secure. And also I want to say to these guys, you know what you're doing? It's California. You guys are fucking yourself so badly. Because I'm going to say to you, Waymo, one word, Waymo.
For real.
Because you don't have a driver, and it's so lovely.
but you know what? And I think that's a good point, because, I just heard earlier this week, Target's quarterly earnings down again.
Down again.
And I'm bringing this up to say, when you have a company that has made a very concerted effort to go away from making, Black people, women, LGBTQ people from feeling safe with your brand, you will have a financial a downturn.
Yeah.
So with this,
they haven't gotten rid of the option. I believe the option is still there. So we'll kind of have to watch and see what they do. I think this also kind of goes back again to sexual assault survivors and how we value women and young women in this country. And if we've got even the fact that these 2 dudes are going to file this suit.
Yeah.
Basically dismissing the fact that there's like 68% or some fucking insane number that there were reports against drivers assaulting their passengers. Lyft and Uber are trying to make a corrective action here and keep their drivers.
It's a sensible thing to do if you're a business, and particularly in a business where the economy is going south and people are going out less because, things are so expensive. So you've got to think about, the economics here and what it means.
Trying to keep people safe is not discriminatory
against a gender. Practice.
It's not discriminatory against a gender. It's protecting people from assault.
The discriminatory thing would have been if it was mandatory. If it was mandatory that women only get women drivers, that would be discrimination.
And let me show you that doesn't happen.
Right. It doesn't happen. It's not the case.
And like you said before, there are so few female drivers that even though I have that option on,
doesn't mean you're going to get them.
Exactly.
Particularly in the evening, because a lot of women will not drive Uber.
Specifically for the
women are going to drive in the evening.
Happens.
Yes, exactly.
Come on, y'all.
But let me just say out to all of our listeners, if an Uber with 2 men comes and picks you up and it's a massive truck, maybe don't. Just maybe see if there's some other options out there for you.
Uber, Lyft drivers, stop doing that.
Why
are you riding around with your boy at 2:30 in the morning, dog? Like, you want to talk about
truck.
Sus.
That's
like,
so
seriously,
sus.
like massive pause, bro.
I know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's been another year-long week here, and it's been so lovely to see you guys. It's been a minute.
I think we should ask for a minute about Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's next week.
Thanksgiving's not in my notes. I actually really hate Thanksgiving. It's my least favorite holiday.
What? It's my favorite.
You don't like
What?
turkey?
Yes.
Why? Oh,
because there's very little financial incentive to give crap to other people. It's not about consumerism in terms of gifts, but it's about consumerism in terms of food.
It's one of 2 things here. It's either you don't like turkey or you don't like your family.
Well, no, it's got nothing to do with any of those things. I mean, we're celebrating a genocide, essentially. Like
I'm not celebrating
the
nothing.
whole story behind it is like, let's
eating.
all sing Kumbaya with the native folks. And no, like, I don't like that. I don't like the mass consumption of the food. There's so much fucking food. It makes me feel sick. Like, I cannot get on board with Thanksgiving. Years and years and years ago, when I was 18, I got it. Look at your face, yesterday.
Because food is great.
I got an MIP the night before, and I ended up in jail in Novi.
So you got trauma.
I got trauma.
But
I never liked Thanksgiving. It was never my favorite. It is the lowest. I mean, I
Thanksgiving
like
is
President's Day more than I like Thanksgiving.
Nah, Thanksgiving is
so
gas.
I am spending it with my boyfriend guy. We're gonna spend it together. He's gonna cook, and we're gonna hang out, and that's pretty much it.
I got 4 Thanksgivings to go to.
I think that's amazing, and I'm happy for you.
Norris.
I got 4. I got to go to my mom's house. I got an aunt's house, at my dad's house, and then I got a party to go to.
I love that for you.
I don't have to buy food for another week.
Well, see, I've also
you get the
hosted it.
leftovers, the
I have
leftovers,
hosted Thanksgivings. It's a lot of fucking work.
So have I. I've
just
cooked
not into it.
entire Thanksgiving myself. I love it.
Okay,
I love it.
I'm happy for you. I'm not gonna yuck your yum anymore.
You know what?
What are you gonna do? You're gonna be gone.
We've reclaimed Thanksgiving. It's not about genocide anymore.
Okay,
it's about cranberry sauce.
Cranberry sauce in the can, like the one that like slides out real slow.
Yes. No, we don't want the mushy stuff.
We don't do Thanksgiving, but it is a holiday, so we go away.
Yes.
So that's what we do.
Yeah.
But I do want to remind everybody, because I think Thanksgiving is an incredibly important holiday, particularly this year when we need to talk to our family. I mentioned it last week in our podcast, closed off with just to remind everybody, if you're sitting around with, Uncle Racist and Aunt Dead inside, remind them about the cost of fucking everything and how last year they were probably talking about the fact, oh my God, eggs are going to go down in price and gas is going to be, we'll be able to, it'll be just so cheap we can drink it. Just remember to go in there armed with information about Epstein and this shit that's going on, as well as the cost of living, because it ain't gone down, people. So that's my only advice.
That's great. I think that's great advice for Thanksgiving. I will not be doing that because I don't want to see anyone other than my boyfriend on Thanksgiving.
I'm going in ready. I'm going in prepared for violence. I'm ready.
Ready.
I love arguing with my family.
I'm going to smack down at your place. I think I want to come to your Thanksgiving.
Everybody's even keel. We don't even argue. We just sit and talk shit. So it's going to be great.
Well, have a happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. Thank you for being with us and for listening in. Like we said, please give us a like, follow, a share anywhere where you listen to our podcast. We really appreciate it. So we'll say happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you in 2 Thursdays.
Bye.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of Point of Disorder. We'd like to extend a huge thank you to everyone who listened today. And if you like us, give us a like, a subscribe, or a review on any place you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Distill Social and at The Guerrilla Politic. This is the Point of Disorder podcast, signing off. Stay sharp, stay progressive, and above all, stay tuned.